Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Monday 5 Live. Hope you all had a really nice weekend. We had a really lovely weekend. We went away for a little mini vacation for 2 nights down to the bottom of Lake Taupo. There's a house there that we are lucky enough to use occasionally, and it's right on the lake, and it's set back a little bit in the bush, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of like, I refer to it as like forced relaxation, because there's really not a lot you can do down there apart from walk by the lake, walk in the bush, and there's a beautiful spa pool there as well. So it was really nice just to have a couple of nights away. The kids really love it, and we actually drove into Taupo on one day, which is about a 50-minute drive. It was just enough to kind of refresh and have a good little break. So today's topic is all about the one rule that will change your life. And this is a really powerful rule that we teach a lot to our clients, and it's the 80-20 rule. Now, we haven't made this rule up. It's been around forever. Some everyday, common everyday situations that you might hear the 80-20 rule is, for example, you wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. Another one might be that a company's, like in a sales situation, 80% of a company's sales will come from 20% of its products. So that's the 80-20 rule, and it's something that we use from a health perspective, and we find that it's a really, really powerful rule, and it's actually life-changing. So I want to explain to you what the 80-20 rule is when it comes to health and well-being, and how we teach it to our clients. So it's basically 80% of the time, make really good choices and good decisions with your health, and 20% of the time, just relax and go and do whatever you want. So I found, now this is my personal experience, when I was really unwell, I went even further than that. So I was probably 95-5 actually. I was 95% strict and 5% not strict. And of course, it's just a rough guess. So I would say that if you are chronically unwell, you want to go further, a little bit further than the 80-20. You probably want to go 85-15 or 90-10. If you're someone who's just got a few health issues, and you know that you've got a little bit of work to do in that area and you want to get back to feeling well, the 80-20 rule is a great way to go about it. So the key thing here is that the 80-20 rule allows you to not be too rigid. And occasionally we will get a client and they'll go, we'll say to them, look, you don't have to follow this plan 100%. We just want you to, 80%, and you're going to do really well. And they'll go, no, I'm going to do it 100%. I'm a 100% type person. When I do something, I give it everything. And we go, okay, if that's the way you want to approach it, that's okay. But we warn them about the 80-20 rule and say, it's really hard to stick to something 100%. And we find that those people who go in like at a bullet a gate at 100%, they are the ones that fall off the wagon quite quickly, and they end up back at square one. And it's because they go in with that all or nothing mentality, and then all it takes is one little slip up, and then they're like, oh, I've stuffed it up. I might as well just, stuff everything up. So this is why we endorse the 80-20 rule, because it gives you some wriggle room. As you guys know, for those of you who have been, following us for a long time, we don't get into fads. We don't get into quick fixes or gimmicks or diets. That's not what we do. We teach people how to make sustainable lifestyle changes over the long term. And that's what makes our program so successful. So I want to give you some real life examples of how that 80-20 rule could work for you in terms of your health and how you can approach your health goals. So for example, you might make really good food choices all day. So you have lots of nice fresh fruit and vegetables and whole grains and good food during the day. And then after dinner, you might have a little bit of dessert or a few pieces of chocolate or something like that. Okay, there's your 80-20 rule. You might have a cheat meal once a week. And this is something that we endorse on our program. A cheat meal is excellent because it not only gives you a break from following, a fairly, well-structured plan. It gives you a mental break as well. It satisfies cravings. And it actually can fire up the metabolism and just, get everything revved up again if you're starting to feel a little bit flat. So we do endorse a cheat meal, and that's part of the 80-20 rule. Be good during the week and then go and have your cheat meal and have whatever you like. That is a prime example of the 80-20 rule. Another example might be just saving your alcohol for the weekend. So you go alcohol free during the week, and then you might have like one night a week where you have a couple of beers or a couple of glasses of wine or something like that. We're not talking about binging. Every now and then people will go and do that, and that, obviously it's not ideal, but if that's part of your lifestyle, you don't want to be doing that a lot. But if you're someone who likes to drink alcohol, what we try and say is keep it to the weekends. Don't have it all during the week, because that leads to a whole lot of other problems. Sleep is just one of those. Weight gain, there are so many issues that go along with alcohol. Another example of the 80-20 rule might be that it's your birthday, or it's your wedding anniversary, or it's your child's birthday, and you want to go out and have a really nice meal. Go out and do that. Go and have the meal and the dessert and the glass of wine, and don't feel any guilt about it. Enjoy it, and then the next day get back on track with your healthy habits. That's the 80-20 rule. Another example is have a really good sleep 6 out of 7 nights in the week. So that allows one night a week for you to go out, have a late night. Your body can cope with that. Your body can't cope with more than one late night a week. And unfortunately, people are kind of getting into that habit of having multiple late nights, and then everything else starts to fall apart when you're not having good sleep. Another example, eat a low-fat diet most of the time. And then every now and then allow yourself to have a couple of high-fat treats. So whether it's a bit of chocolate or some fried food or something like that, okay? That's the 80-20 rule. 5 out of 7 days a week, go for a walk or do some exercise. You don't have to be exercising every day, and you don't have to be exercising hard. It might just be that you go for a walk around the block. That's the 80-20 rule. Okay, so once you get into the flow of this rule, what I've come to realize is that this rule actually creates a whole lot of freedom in your life. You are not having to count calories. You are not having to measure portion sizes. You are certainly not obsessed about macronutrients like carbs and proteins and fats. All it means is that 80% of the time you eat really, really well, and 20% of the time you relax. And that's a really, really sustainable way to live over the long term. Anybody can do that. If you know that at the end of each week, you're allowed to go out and do whatever you like with your food and have a couple of glasses of alcohol, anyone can do that. The problem is when you go on some kind of diet or fad and they encourage you to be really, really strict. And sure, a lot of people can be really, really strict for a certain amount of time, but eventually they are going to cave in. Okay, this is why the 80-20 rule works so well. So I'll give you an example of how this works in my life, okay? So as I said, when I was really, really sick, I was incredibly strict. So I was about 95-5. So 95% of the time I just did everything by the book. 5% of the time I would just, have a little bit of chocolate or something like that. I didn't drink coffee, I didn't drink alcohol. I was very conscious about getting a lot of sleep. I was sleeping a lot anyway. I wasn't going anywhere because I was so unwell. Hey Marie, thanks for watching this morning. Hope you're well. But now I reckon I'm probably a little bit, I know that Steve and our kids are very much 80-20 when it comes to especially the plant-based diet. I would say from a plant-based point of view, I'm 95-5. So 95% of the time I'll eat plant-based food, 5% of the time I might have something else. But I'll give you an example of how the 80-20 rule works in my everyday life. So this isn't just related to plant-based nutrition or my diet, this is related to my lifestyle. So what I will do is I will be quite cautious about what I'm eating during the day. So I might have like a fruit smoothie bowl for breakfast, or maybe like a gluten-free cereal and some fruit. I might have some like gluten-free sourdough toast with some avocado or something like that for breakfast. And then I'll have a healthy lunch. I'll have a plant-based meal. And then that's my 80%. And then my 20% is maybe after dinner. Or actually that's probably more like 90%, maybe 10% after dinner. I'll have like a couple of pieces of dark peppermint chocolate, or I'll have a few lollies or something like that. So that's how I do my 80-20 rule during the daytime with my food. In our family, we probably do something easy for dinner about once a week. It might be pizza, it might be Indian, and I will have moderate quantities of that. I'm not going to just say no altogether, because I quite like those treats occasionally too. But that's just once a week. So that's the 80-20 rule. Sorry, my notebook keeps falling off my knee. For me, I barely ever drink alcohol. I probably have alcohol maybe a handful of times a year. The last time I had alcohol was in February, and I had half a glass of champagne. So I'm probably a little bit stricter on that side of things. I'm in bed by 10 o'clock on most nights. There might be one night in the week where I go a little bit beyond that. And again, that's the 80-20 rule. What else do I do? I'm dairy and gluten-free, probably more than 80% of the time. But every now and then I'll have a little bit of dairy and a little bit of gluten. And that doesn't affect me too badly when I'm having a good diet most of the time. The key thing here is that everyone's going to be different, and you're going to want to be stricter in some areas more than others. So for example, you might be someone who likes to have a glass of wine with your dinner. If you can leave that glass of wine to the weekend, you know, so for example, for me, the alcohol's not important to me, so it's not something that really features in my life, but it might be more important to you. So, you know, everyone's going to be different. Everyone's going to have different things that they enjoy, different treats that they want to have. But the key thing is that you look at your changes that you want to make as a lifestyle change. And this is what we teach all the time. It's not about a quick fix. It's not about going on a 6 or a 12-week program. It's about making sustainable changes over the long term. And when you can stick to that 80-20 rule, you're going to do really, really well. And as I said at the beginning, in the early days, if you're really unwell or you've got a lot of underlying health issues going on, you might need to be a little bit stricter. You might need to go to 85-15. 85% of the time, make good choices, 15% of the time, relax. Or you might want to go 90-10. But the important thing is, the percentages aren't that important. The important thing is that it's sustainable and you give yourself that wriggle room. We don't want you going all in with 100%, I'm going to do this 100% attitude, because that is a recipe for disaster. There are very, very few people who can sustain that. So the 80-20 rule is a really, really good rule to follow. If you've got any questions around that, let me know. It's something that we do encourage a lot, and we talk about it a lot. I've talked about it in my book. I talk about it with our clients all the time. And it's just a really, really good way to live, and it ensures that you can sort of follow healthy habits over the long term. So that's all I've got to say about the 80-20 rule today. Just before I go, I'm just letting you know that book 2 is on its way. I really didn't plan for this to happen so soon after book 1. Morning, Trish. Hope you're well. Had no idea book 2 was coming so fast, but it is. I've almost finished the first draft, and we will be looking at a pre-release in about a month's time, and I hope to have it published by about the end of August, maybe give or take a little bit. So that's where we're at. Book 2 is all about the plant-based diet, subject very close to my heart. I'm absolutely loving writing it. I really think it's going to be a great book. And what I've realized is that it's actually a sequel to book 1. I had no intention of doing that at all, but I've realized that book 1 is all about laying the foundations for great health, and book 2 is all about kicking it up about 100 notches. So that's where we're at. Thanks for watching, for those of you who have tuned in, and we'll catch you same place, same time next week. Have a great week.